Hello guys and welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Greg and I'm going to be giving you my predicted lineup for Sunday's game against Wolves. I'm a little unsure with this one. Ancelotti had his press conference yesterday, so that's Friday. And he was a bit unclear about the situations of Mason Holgate and Andre Gomes. Gomes obviously went off quite early against Southampton. He's not too sure how severe the injury is, but from what we know, Holgate and Gomes are both going to be training and will be assessed. I'm going to take quite an optimistic outlook on things and say Holgate will probably be available for selection, as will Gomes. So that's where I'm going to stand on things, but I don't have definitive information, so don't take this as the be-all and end-all. Obviously, Walcott is back as well. He featured on the bench against Southampton but didn't get on. And we're not too sure where we stand with Delph at the moment. So all of that being said, let me get into the team. And for this week, I will definitely reiterate that this is the team I think Ancelotti will select, not the team I would go with personally. There would be a big discrepancy this week because I would make some quite wholesale changes. But I think Ancelotti's got a certain system he likes to play with. And, you know, he does get the best out of what system he plays with. You know, he's a world-class manager, and I'm not ever going to say that I'd make the better selection out of the two of us. So looking to go into things, I'd say Pickford will start in goal. Coming back after the lockdown, I'd say he looks like he's always got an error in him at the moment. He goes through these swathes again of having these games where he makes these quite high-profile mistakes, and you think, you know, should we be taking him out of the team for a while? Can we trust him? But, you know, I still think he's the best keeper we have, so I'd keep him in. But he does look shaky at the moment. You know, maybe a run of games will get that confidence back. But Pickford in goal. Then at left back, I'm going to say Lucas Digne, who I think is a fantastic player. The assist for Richarlison's goal at Southampton has only reinforced that in my head. I really do think he's a fantastic player. He's probably the best technical player we have at the club. So for me, Lucas Digne at left back. Obviously, we do have the pressing issue of getting Baines game time, considering, obviously, it might be his last season at the club. I've been quite vocal about thinking he could come into that central midfield role that he's been touted for a while. I think he's probably the best tackler that we have in terms of who could play in midfield. His distribution and his range of passing would be better than any midfield options we currently have. But regardless of that, I'm getting into a different conversation. I'd have Digne at left back. My first centre-back option would be Michael Keane, who I think has been one of our better players since we've come back from lockdown. Fair play to him. Before, I'd say he was one of our most sometimes complacent players. He did, as I was saying about Pickford, he had the odd error in him, but I think he's been one of the most well-concentrated players since we've come back. He's been the most keen on the ball, Michael Keane. But, you know, that goal line clearance, he was really switched on for a couple of games back. So, you know, I'd have Keane there. And partnering him, as I said, I'm going to be optimistic. I think it's going to be Mason Holgate. And that's no disrespect to Mina. I think I always said I think he's a good player. I don't think he was bad as a replacement for Southampton. But Holgate is a fantastic player. He's been, as I always say, the surprise package of this season. I think he's got to be one of the first names on the team sheet whenever he is fit and whenever he can play. And I know a lot of people have talked about progressing him into the midfield, which I do think is a good idea, and personally I might do it. But this is, for me, what I think Carlo Ancelotti will go for, and we've never seen Ancelotti utilise Holgate in the midfield, so I think we'll see him at centre-back next to Michael Keane. Then on the right, obviously it's the debate of Sidibe or Coleman. I'm going to say Coleman again, one of the other players I think who's been quite standout since we've come back from the restart. We haven't seen much from Sidibe in the cameos he's made recently. If anything, he seems always better in this sort of progressed position where he's whipping balls in maybe from right mid. I think Ancelotti seems to be playing him more up the pitch. He seems to have a lot of faith in Coleman. He likes to have these players around the club. You know, with his extension of Baines's contract and offering him that extension, he seems quite tuned in with Coleman and the attitude of having a leader. And really, our team is missing that sort of character on the pitch. So, you know, keeping Coleman at right back would be my decision on what I think Ancelotti will go with. And then we've got the real issue of our two central midfielders. So I should say I'm going for the sort of traditional 4-4-2 that we've seen so far. I think it's going to be, I'm going to say Andre Gomes, with the fitness issue, even though I'm being optimistic, will stay out of this because of fitness and because of how overrun the midfield was at Southampton constantly from minute one. I'll say Davis will play. Obviously, there's a lot of shouts for. I've already talked about Holgate and Baines, but Benny Beningame to get some game time as a sort of disruptor and someone who's going to take control more in the midfield and it's a bit of a cliche, but take that role that Gay left, that Gbamin was meant to fill, of someone who dominates and does so much off the ball as well. But I think, as I said, Ancelotti, this is what I imagine Ancelotti will go with. He's going to stick with Davies, who, look, controversially, I don't think is a bad player. I think he's in a system that doesn't fit him as a two-man midfield, as a two-man pivot. I think he needs to be paired with someone a bit more physical, because his range of passing is good when he gets a chance to show it off. All right, that's just my opinion. So Davies, and next to him I think will be Sigurdsson, Gylfi Sigurdsson. I know this is not going to make anyone happy as a prediction. As I said at the top of the show, this is my prediction, not my wishes. Davies and Sigurdsson I think will be the two in central midfield. Then out on the left, I really hope it's Gordon. He has been the sort of flash of personality we've seen in quite a characterless team since we've come back. He seems really progressive. He wants to get on the ball. He was obviously rewarded with the assist quite early on against Leicester. He's really happy to break lines, make progressive runs. He tries this range of passing we don't see from any other players. So I'd definitely stick with Gordon on the left and give him as much game time as we possibly can at the moment. Then out on the right, I think we'll see Iwobi dropped. I don't think we'll see Sidibe in there. I think we'll see Walcott come back in, because what we saw before the break was Walcott acting as a really effective squad player, as a system player, I should say, for Ancelotti. He's quite happy to do the sort of dirty work and tuck into the midfield where he wants the midfield to sort of support the defence, or go forward where he wants the midfield to come wide and provide some width. Because he's got the legs to do it. He's getting on a bit. He's losing that yard of pace, but he's definitely got the legs and he's got the fitness to do it. So I think we'll see Walcott on the right come back into the team. I think that'll probably be the sort of changes he's talking about, because he said you'll see changes, but I don't think it's going to be quite as extravagant as people are hoping for. And then one of the two strikers, Richarlison, great goal. It just takes that moment of brilliance from Richarlison to get us a result out of a game, and he provided that, and that's fantastic against Southampton. And next to him, Calvert-Lewin, who is struggling, but what Calvert-Lewin is adaptable. He'll play in a system under any manager, and he'll take the ball to the corners. You've seen more recently that he's a good finisher as well. So he just needs to overcome this slight duck he's getting. His off the ball work is quite a part. The stretching of defence as to why Richarlison scored his goal. They do work well together, and I think Ancelotti has seen that as Ferguson has seen it, or else he wouldn't have kept the top front system. So I think that's my team. Pickford in goal, a back line of Dean, Keane, Holgate, and and Coleman. Davies and Sigurdsson in the midfield, with Gordon and Walcott out wide, and then Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin up top. Let me know what you guys think of that. Would you make some more changes, as I would? Would you see Baines in the team? What do you think of that? Would you have Holgate in midfield? Would you start Moise Kean? Do you think Calvert-Lewin's not done enough recently? Do you think Bernard over Gordon? Beningame, would you see him in? Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you next time.